Welcome to BioShorts, a new learning platform where you get useful, informative, and knowledgeable video lectures for UPSC and NET aspirants on various topics related to science and technology, environment and ecology, and nutritional biology. Hello everyone, I am Neelam Mishra. Join me on this channel to enhance your learning skill and excel in competitive exams and beyond. In the previous videos, we discussed about carbon pools and carbon footprints. This video is in continuation with that and is focused on the process of carbon sequestration. Before the onset of Industrial Revolution, the natural processes that make up the carbon cycle maintained a relatively steady state concentration of carbon in the pools for millions of years by balancing the uptake of carbon dioxide and its release into the atmosphere. This balance keeps the Earth's temperature relatively stable, just like a thermostat. But when anything, either the natural calamity or human activity changes the amount of carbon in any of the carbon pool, the effect ripples through the other carbon pools. This imbalance in the global carbon cycle or in carbon reservoirs is the root cause of global warming. Anthropogenic activities like fossil fuel combustion and land cover change, largely in the form of deforestation, caused massive and rapid carbon flux into the atmosphere. Centuries of rampant and uncontrolled industrialization further multiplied the concentration of greenhouse gases in atmospheric carbon pool. As a result, the carbon dioxide level from pre-industrial era of 172 ppm has now increased to 417 ppm. In 2015, Paris Agreement, a long-term goal has been set to limit global warming and keep Earth's average temperature rise well below 2 degrees centigrade from the pre-industrial levels. The reality is, according to current estimates, Earth's global mean temperature will increase by 3 degrees centigrade even if we strictly adhere to all commitments made at the Paris Climate Conference in 2015. It seems to be a very difficult and tall task to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement, since the current average temperature of Earth is already about 1.1 degree centigrade higher. Furthermore, by 2100, most of the global ocean is expected to be full of carbon dioxide, potentially altering ocean chemistry and lowering the pH of water, making it more acidic. It is a wake-up call because the existing carbon dioxide uptake mechanisms called carbon dioxide sinks are not sufficient to offset the already accumulated carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the environment. You will be surprised to know that globally cumulative carbon dioxide emission from fossil fuels is more than the total amount of carbon stored in reservoirs, and if current trends continue, cumulative carbon dioxide emissions are projected to double by 2050 and increase by a factor of 3 to 4 by 2100. In this frame of reference, I need to ask a very critical question. Can we rebalance the carbon cycle while still using fossil fuels? The answer is little tricky. Among the various climate change mitigation strategies currently being explored, carbon capture and sequestration technology allows for the continuous use of fossil fuels and provide time to make a changeover to other energy sources in a systemic way. Yes, the spotlight is on carbon capture and sequestration, which is a must-have and emerging technology to reduce the amount of atmospheric carbon dioxide by putting into long-term storage to avoid extreme and dangerous effects of global warming. According to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Fourth Assessment Report of 2007, carbon sequestration and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions over the next 2 to 3 decades will potentially have a substantial impact on long-term opportunities to stabilize the levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide and mitigate impacts of climate change. India strongly advocated climate justice and adhered to the principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities, abbreviated as CBDR, during climate conference in Paris. India announced 3 major voluntary commitments called Nationally Determined Contributions for the period of 2021-2030. One of the intended nationally determined contribution is to create carbon sinks of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. So with this overview, now let me tell you, what do we mean by carbon sequestration? Why do we need carbon capture and sequestration technology now, and how this technology works? Carbon sequestration is the process of carbon capture and deliberate long-term storage of carbon dioxide or other forms of carbon. In other words, carbon sequestration means capturing carbon dioxide from large point sources such as fossil fuel power plants and industries before it is released into the atmosphere. Once captured, the carbon dioxide is put into long-term storage from where it will not enter the atmosphere. This approach shows tremendous promise for reducing the human carbon footprint. According to Environmental Protection Agency, carbon sequestration can significantly reduce emissions from large stationary sources of carbon dioxide like coal and natural gas fired power plants. Moving forward, let's find out how is carbon sequestration done. At present, we know 3 main types of carbon sequestration processes: biological, geological, and technological. Biological carbon sequestration is the storage of carbon dioxide in natural ecosystems such as grasslands, forests, as well as soils and oceans. Broadly, it is subdivided into oceanic and terrestrial carbon sequestration. World's oceans are the primary long-term sink for human-caused carbon dioxide emissions, accounting for a global net uptake of roughly 2 gigatons or 25% of carbon emitted from human activities annually. It involves chemical reaction between seawater and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. While absorbing atmospheric carbon dioxide, these reactions cause the oceans to become more acidic. Many marine organisms and ecosystems depend on the formation of carbonate skeletons and sediments that are vulnerable to dissolution in acidic waters. Terrestrial carbon sequestration is accomplished through forest, reforestation or afforestation, and soil conservation practices that enhance the storage of carbon, such as restoring and establishing new forest, wetlands and grasslands to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, such as decreasing agricultural tillage, adopting sustainable agricultural practices, reducing soil erosion, use of cover crops, and by suppressing wildfires. Soil organic carbon makes the largest terrestrial carbon pool. The ability of soils to sequester carbon offers a range of co-benefits like increased agricultural productivity, improved water quality, food security, etc., and thus a win-win strategy for climate change mitigation. However, terrestrial carbon storage is susceptible to disturbances such as fire, plant diseases, and changes in climate and land use, and therefore, decisions about terrestrial carbon sequestration require careful consideration of priorities and trade-offs among multiple resources. For example, converting farmlands to forest or wetlands may increase carbon sequestration or enhance wildlife habitat and water quality, or may increase recreational potential, but the loss of farmlands will decrease crop productivity, which in turn may affect food security. Now we move on to the geological carbon sequestration. Geologic carbon sequestration is a three-step process that begins with capturing carbon dioxide from the point source, transporting the stored carbon usually through pipelines below the land surfaces and injected into porous rock formations, followed by storage of carbon dioxide in underground geologic formations such as deep saline, aquifers, basalt formation, unminable or not in use coal seams, and depleted oil or natural gas reservoirs that trap carbon dioxide and prevent it from migrating upward. Currently, geologic carbon sequestration is used to store only small amounts of carbon per year. In principle, this physical trapping mechanism is identical to natural geological trapping, which retain carbon dioxide for thousands to millions of years. The permanence of geologic carbon sequestration depends on the effectiveness of several carbon dioxide trapping mechanisms. After carbon dioxide is injected underground, it will rise buoyantly until it is trapped beneath an impermeable barrier or seal. To fully assess the potential of geologic carbon sequestration, we have to look into its economic cost and environmental risk. For instance, seismic disturbances, deformation of land surface, contamination of potable water supplies, and adverse effects on ecosystem and human health. Globally, carbon capture and sequestration, after a slowdown, get impetus in 2015 with the opening of Aquistore, located in Canada, as a storage site for world's first commercial post-combustion carbon dioxide capture and storage project from a coal-based power plant. It demonstrates storing liquid carbon dioxide at a depth of 3 to 4 km underground in the brine and sandstone. Multiple large-scale carbon capture and sequestration projects are in operation or nearing completion worldwide that would store approximately 40 million tons of carbon dioxide in a year. India is one among developing countries that are currently engaged in carbon capture and sequestration activities. Although initial steps have been taken, which need to be sustained and beneficial in the long term, we have a long way to go. In my opinion, if we seriously wish to meet the target of creating additional carbon sinks of 2.5 to 3 billion tons, it is necessary that carbon capture and sequestration is replaced with carbon capture and utilization to avoid all underlying risk involved in underground storage of carbon dioxide. The time is apt and ripe enough to start pursuing carbon storage and utilization in the mission mode and to make carbon emission reduction affordable as a step toward compliance to Paris Agreement. Technological carbon sequestration and utilization is the third and modern approach of removing carbon dioxide buildup from atmosphere. Technologists view climate change from a different angle and suggest it to be a material problem, which means there is too much of carbon in the atmosphere. So how come we cannot convert that into our biggest resources? This can be done by utilizing captured carbon and turning them into other materials that store carbon more permanently. That simply means converting waste carbon dioxide into carbon storing materials. Biochar, which is a carbon rich substance made by burning biomass without oxygen, prevents the carbon from escaping as carbon dioxide, and catalytic conversion for utilization of captured carbon dioxide into value added product is getting a lot of attention these days. The other examples of carbon rich materials are bioplastic, carbicrete, a type of concrete that captures carbon in its production, beverage carbonation, dry ice manufacturing, and synthetic wood. The list is going to be long in coming days with more research and development initiatives. So the crux of this lecture is both carbon capture and sequestration and carbon capture and utilization can be game changer for creating huge carbon sinks and thereby marching towards creation of additional carbon sinks followed by decarbonization of our economy. These should be given a serious thought and focus by policymakers in context to climate change action. So this is all from me in this video. I will come up with another important issue related to climate change actions in the next video. Till then, stay connected and please do provide your valuable suggestions. Thank you very much for joining me on my channel.